Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us here at Trifecta Coffee Company. We're here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. We're working on a fundraising event called First Cup because today, simultaneous to everybody coming out and supporting us in the effort to raise money for the Coffee Trust, there is another wonderful coffee shop in Providence, Rhode Island. It's called the Coffee Exchange, and they've been doing this for 28 years. This is their 29th year, and together this year we are collectively working for the Coffee Trust and raising money, and that's called First Cup. I'm here with Bill Fishbein, the Executive Director from the Coffee Trust, a New Mexico-based nonprofit that is working towards improving the lives of coffee farmers. So again, Bill, thank you so much for joining us on our next segment, and we're going to be talking about
food sovereignty.
And what is food sovereignty?
Well, basically it's putting the control in the hands of the farmers to grow their own food, raise their own food, feed their families 12 months a year, whether the price of coffee is high or low, or whether their production is high or low, or whether they've been affected by some cataclysm, natural event like a hurricane or mudslide or earthquake or any number of things that do happen at where coffee is grown.
And as we know, coffee is the number 2 commodity, and as a roaster I can tell you, just watching the market, it is extremely volatile. So it must be incredibly difficult and challenging for farmers or the people that help collect for all the farmers how to price this coffee, how to know how to get the optimal price. That I can't even imagine being on that side of the business.
It's really being dependent on the price of coffee.
Right.
Even by working with the system, there's still this base price out of New York that sets the tone for everything, and it's always the lowest part. The producer always makes the smallest amount of money, and the more processing that takes place up the chain, the more money there is in a processed product. The farmers from Asociación Chavalense, the ones we're working with, these farmers, they have the benefit of being part of a fair trade organic cooperative. So they get some advantage. The first advantage they have is it's a cooperative. They're not alone. When they're alone, they pick their coffee and they bring it to a processor. And if they're not drying it themselves, they bring it to a processor. It's going to rot in 24 to 36 hours. So they're essentially going to get a take it or leave it price, regardless of what the commodity market is.
Wow.
Because what are they going to do?
They have no choice.
They have no choice. Okay. Then there are farmers who do process their own and slow down, if not stop, the decaying process by drying it, which is great. But then they bring it to a processor who's going to pay them. And that's basically, they're paid something that's related to the world price, because everybody knows what the world price is. But the farmer's got no power in this. So if the person in between, oftentimes called a coyote, is someone who takes advantage of him, he's really not going to have any chance. Being part of a cooperative, being part of a collective, a group where the mission of the group is to ensure that all the farmers benefit somehow or other. They can maximize the income they can get as a group. They have to share it amongst themselves. But that's, to me, the major benefit of being part of a fair trade cooperative. That it is a cooperative, first of all. Fair trade ensures a certain floor price for the coffee, but they have to sell 100% of their product on a fair trade contract, which Chavalense does. Asociación Chavalense does 100% of its product on a fair trade contract, so they benefit from that. But the price of specialty coffee is above that anyway.
Right.
So they're going to get this whether they're a fair trade cooperative or not. So that they're benefiting from that because it's organic. They get another premium from that. Still, they're still getting a couple of dollars, maybe $2.29 a pound. Some very small amount of money, given that when it's sold over the counter for $15 to $20 a pound, they don't see anything like that.
Exactly.
So they're vulnerable to the commodity world. It shouldn't be this way, but it is. And years ago, in the 90s, several major agricultural organizations of the world invested in coffee production in Vietnam. Up until then, Vietnam had not been a major producer.
Right.
They invested in enough so that Vietnam became the second largest producer in the world, next to Brazil. So you imagine what that does to the price of coffee. This is done in somewhat of a. It just didn't happen. But
there's some intent that
there's some intent to keep the prices low.
Right.
The traditional coffees of the more traditional brands, which aren't measured by quality, they measure by price, and they want to keep the price low. So the farmers, their price is always low. The farmers always are impoverished. When the farmers are impoverished, they're dependent on coffee. All they can do is sell more, produce more, and it's a vicious cycle that never ends.
And so we're going to be coming close to harvest period in February. Is that a true statement? Is that
well, it's in harvest period right now.
Right now, it's actually
they're harvesting now.
And it'll be going all the way through till when?
Well, okay. Last year they were still harvesting in early April.
It goes that long.
Yeah. Of course, there was a real cold spell,
right.
So it kind of slowed down the early part of the harvest.
Things didn't ripen all
right. So it took a little longer. In 2015, the harvest was over in January. It was done with because of Roya. There was such a small harvest that they were done by January.
And so we have a segment before this called La Roya, so we'll definitely, invite people to go out and check out the various videos that we're posting today on all these different subjects. So when we talk about food sovereignty, the money they harvested their coffee, that money's already gone, right? I mean, it's
and I think that they have become dependent on cash from coffee. Right. These are people as a culture who were subsistence farmers. They grew their own food. They took care of themselves. There was no cash involved.
Right.
That's where their history was.
But there's been a shift because of coffee.
Well, not just coffee, all commodities.
Right.
That the lure of cash has drawn farmers away from their traditional practices to grow commodities for cash. And then they use the cash to buy what they need. And that starts off really good in the beginning because they have no cash, and suddenly they have cash. But the reality is that there's just not enough cash to pay for their needs. And then they're dependent on the cash. They've lost touch with their agricultural roots. They don't know how to grow coffee, and they don't know how to grow their food products anymore.
And this is where food sovereignty comes in.
Right. We want to return the farmers to the original agricultural understanding.
Have that ability, the knowledge, the capability, the resources.
Yeah. We know they can do it because they've done it.
They've done it
for hundreds and thousands of years. They did it. They were never wealthy, but they fed their families.
And they had at least better.
They ate 12 months a year. I mean, they took care of themselves because they were growing. So our food sovereignty program is fundamentally couched in the word sovereignty, that we believe that the farmers can grow their own food and they can be in control of their own food source. And without 1 penny from coffee, without 1 penny from any commodity, without any cash at all, we believe farmers can, because they've done it in the past, they can grow their own food.
So how has the Coffee Trust started with this program? I mean, where does it all begin?
Okay, well, interesting question. We began in 2008, and in this project later in like 2011, food sovereignty. Prior to that, we weren't working with food sovereignty, and we're dealing with a culture of people who had become a culture of dependency because of the giveaway programs of former NGOs. So you couldn't even talk to them unless you were giving something away. So we started out not by giving everything away, but we started out by being a participant. If you build the stove, we'll buy the pieces. We gathered together people around that concept. Little by little over the years, we stopped giving so much away, and it was more like, we'll give the training away. You have to do the work. And so that's how we began. And we started out with more people, actually, than we have now.
Really?
Yes, because initially everybody they were getting something. But when we started to say, whoa, this is temporary, we just want to invite you into the program, Now it's serious. We can't give anything away. You have to be able to do all of this on your own. If you're not going to be able to do it on your own, we really can't help you.
We have, so the trust has guidance, it has knowledge, it has education, but at the end of the day,
what happens if we're gone?
You're right.
Yeah,
They have to still
continue.
So
our goal is to transfer knowledge and skills over to the farmers so they can grow their own coffee without us, so we can work our way.
This is, Bill, it sounds to me, and I think we've talked to these other segments, and I know off camera we've had these conversations, but there is a learning curve that you've had in your life in working in this area where mistakes ended up creating you learning that you can't just give. It has to be at a level of education. It has to be a level of getting. The people receiving the help have to be just as equally involved, and not only just doing the work, learning how to do it. It's the old, teach a Ben to fish, and he has fish for life, as opposed to give him a fish. And that's really, that simple.
It is that simple.
Right.
I wish it was simple.
But it isn't that simple because, like you said, we have NGOs that have come in and just done give it, and it's created problems.
Yeah, and many of them have the absolute best of intentions.
Right.
And the program actually works while they're giving it away. And it looks like, oh, this is really abundance. But when they leave, the farmers don't have anything invested in it. They haven't really learned the skills, feeling like if I don't understand these skills, I'm never going to be able to grow food for myself. And so they lose it. And this is what we experience. I mean, look, my experience in my own life has been fundamentally guided by my own failures.
I think that's true for all of us at some level.
To a certain extent. It's really not a failure if you learn from it.
I've always said that if somebody does really well in the stock market the first time, they think they're brilliant. They made a bunch of money and they think they're geniuses. As opposed to if you make mistakes, if you fail, it makes you have to dig down deeper to learn. You got to do it the hard way. I'll be honest with you. I'm the guy that the first time I start something, I make mistakes. This day today here, New Year's Day, all these technical difficulties we're having. Boy, are we learning, huh? But somehow we're kicking this thing off. So back to food sovereignty. So give me some examples. What are some of the specific things that help families eat and have nutrition and survive?
The very first thing we do is we start out with a family garden, because even though the families, you'll see it when you're there, but the families live in some really cramped quarters. In the distance, you see hillsides of commodities or lush green fields, but they don't live there.
Yeah.
They live in these little postage stamp-sized pieces of land, and they're practically on top of each other. And they need to find space to put a family garden together. We don't need that much space, but they need to find it. They need to know how to structure it and how to care for their plants, what plants to plant.
How to maximize efficiencies, obviously.
Exactly. And a lot of times, like, we will deal with, products that they're familiar with. Lettuce and carrots and beets and things like that. We'll also deal with other products. And then we'll also show them what kind of recipes they can use to make their food more appealing to their family. Because a lot of times...
What do I do with a turnip, right?
Well, yeah, right. And a lot of times what they do is they go to market and sell the turnip. They get cash for it and they try to buy something with the cash. So that's fine, but they also have the capacity to feed themselves. So part of it is the training in recipes and training in how to cook.
Right.
So it's real back to basics. That's the first part.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yes, go ahead.
How do they preserve those? I mean, in America, before refrigerators, we learned about canning, and we have salt for curing and things like that. Do they have preservation methods for the food that they have available to them? Or is it pretty much, you grow it, you harvest it, you have to consume it quickly?
You grow it, you harvest it, you sell it or eat it.
And that's, wow.
Yeah, so that's basically...
So this gives an example of how basic a level of... for you and I, we would consider this pretty rough survival skills for you and me.
Yeah, that's why I've come to believe that these farmers are some of the strongest people on the planet. Because if you think about it, if everything stopped, they're going to continue. They're going to live.
Right.
I don't even know how to plant a garlic. I tried to grow garlic once, not a good experience.
I plant tomatoes and then my dog eats them.
Well, there you go.
So,
But in any case, we start with family gardens, and one of the things we use, a fundamental component of what we use, is effective microorganisms for the plants in a family garden as well, just like we do for farmers who are trying to protect their plants against the fungus.
right.
So we teach them how to apply the microorganisms and how to produce the microorganisms. But once again, we talked about campesino, that we train women, and women basically deal with food sovereignty. Mostly men are in coffee, except like for husbands who have died or left for the States and left their wives in charge of the farms.
Right.
But in a family garden, the women are in charge. And we train them, they have to learn just like the men have to learn about EMs and learn about growing coffee. So we have a technician, we have a coordinator who trains technicians, who then train promoters, and the promoters train the families.
Wow.
All the coordinator, technicians, promoters, and farmers are all e-shield farmers.
And to bring a little bit of perspective again, how many, we're talking a very large area geographically, right? We've already talked in previous episodes about how they have mudslides, the difficulty of being able to get from point A to point B. It's not like you hop in a car and you just drive there. I mean, there's distances, there's time constraints. How does your organization? I mean, this is an amazing organization to be able to disseminate right down to each family this information.
Right.
Do they come to one place to learn, or do they go out to the field?
Well, they go out to the field, but keep in mind that we work right now in two communities, like all in the area of San Gaspar Chabu.
Okay.
That's the municipality. Okay, and we work in a community called Sotzil, another community called Chel.
Okay.
And those communities, the people live on top of each
So
other.
the people are all right there.
Right.
But the farms are around it, or
Farms, they go way up.
you go way up. Okay.
Right. And so
when you say garden for the home, we're talking they're all condensed, and we're talking really small space for a garden.
Very small.
Very small.
Very small.
Wow. Okay.
And so, but we will teach them how to build their garden,
Right.
how to grow their garden,
Right.
how to use the effective microorganisms, and what to grow, how to prepare it, how to the recipes used to serve it, and of course they're going to sell it for cash as well. Our job is to inform them how important it is to consume it. They will if they want to.
And Jake, can you bring some slides over? We just got a couple photographs that we're going to be sort of throwing over. I think that one, that actually looks like we have, well, it looks random there, but...
Well, no, those were fly larvae. Okay, I haven't got there yet.
Okay.
The family gardens is the first level
Okay.
of our food sovereignty program. The second level is chicken raising.
Okay.
And chicken raising, it's part of this. We call it the food sovereignty cycle. And it starts with a family garden. When they learn how to grow a family garden, they're proficient in that. And we teach them how to build a chicken coop and how to decontaminate the chicken, which we use effective microorganisms.
Wow.
Exactly.
You get a lot of mileage on this.
A lot of mileage out of that. The women produce it themselves. Promoters do. Okay. The technicians and the promoters produce it. They distribute them to the families. Okay. So they taught how to construct a chicken coop and how to decontaminate it and how to make EMs. When they're ready, we'll give them chickens.
Okay.
That's a giveaway, but not quite. Because
you have to start with, what do you start, chicken or the egg? In this case, you start with the chicken.
We start with the chicken, but the deal is, if we give you so many chickens, then when you develop so many chickens,
you have to help someone else.
You have to provide 10 fully grown chickens to somebody.
That's awesome.
Not fully grown, but midway grown.
Right.
Okay. And the person who received those 10, same thing. They have to repay by giving 10 of their own chickens to somebody else and train them as well.
Right.
And the training is Well, it's complicated, and it requires continuous follow-up, teaching the women how to care for the chicken coop, how to feed, what to feed the chickens, and the baby chicks are fed larvae.
Wow.
Fly larvae. The bigger hens are fed redworms. Okay. Now, we like to see the women give more larvae to the hens, because the larvae are hugely powerful protein.
Yeah.
So are the worms, but
the larvae
yeah,
way better.
Way better. But the women feel, oh, the baby chicks. Baby
Oh.
larvae. So it's like, okay,
all right.
we keep trying, and eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
So then the idea is behind the program is that yes, there's chicken meat around the corner, but every day there's eggs.
There's eggs. Yeah.
So we teach them, to care for the chickens so they can produce eggs, and so they can consume eggs. That's our goal. But this is just because it's our goal doesn't mean
Doesn't
it's their
mean
goal.
that's what they're going to always do.
They see the eggs, they see cash. Because this comes from a cash culture. They've been converted to cash.
When would you say the conversion happened?
100 years ago.
How long?
100 years
That
ago.
wow. Really?
Oh yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay.
It began 100 years ago.
Okay.
Commodities for cash, whatever it was. So with this cash in mind, they'll sell the eggs for cash and then use the cash to buy food. And it's like, well, yeah, but if you ate the eggs, you wouldn't eat the food. You have the protein right there. But they don't recognize the value of protein. So the way we teach them is they understand that their hens need worms.
Okay.
You need those worms, okay? And because without the worms, the hens don't grow. The women understand this. We tell them, your kids are the same way. If your kids don't eat eggs, they're not going to grow.
Wow.
So that's beginning to give us mileage. But this is a long process, changing the minds without forcing the change. We have to work with the women to integrate our ideas with their ideas and try to hopefully get them to consume the eggs.
And like we said earlier, do we learn from our successes or our failures? And we learn from both.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a combination of the two.
And what our plan was, whether it works or not, I don't know, is that eventually all the women are going to be producing eggs, and as they sell the eggs, there's going to be plenty of eggs in the community.
There'll be such an abundance of eggs.
They won't be able to sell them all. They'll have to eat them.
They'll have to eat them, and then their kids will have better.
Exactly. I mean, that's how we envision that as a possibility. At the same time, we try to show them how important the eggs are for their children, just like the worms are important.
So what is considered bare subsistence for food for them that doesn't meet their needs, but it's what they tend to rely on?
Tortillas and very little beans.
So corn and beans.
Corn and beans, but not that much beans.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So they have the capacity to grow more of everything.
Right.
And the farmers, the families that have a real productive family garden have got what they need, vegetable-wise and beans. They can have enough beans, almost. Protein, they need protein for the development of the brains, the full development, body's maturity. They need the eggs, and that's our goal. This is our goal. It's been a challenge for a long time because it's training women in understanding things that culturally they understood 100 years ago, but they don't understand. We can't force it on them. We have to do it basically farmer to farmer.
But the irony is that when the cash system came into effect, it happened probably a lot quicker than it is taking to reverse the cycle now.
And once they were off producing their own agricultural goods, they lost the training also.
Wow.
Now, the food sovereignty cycle has another level to it.
Okay.
And this we've just begun. This is called something called kuchubas. When the women give 10 chicks to another woman, that's called pase de cadena. It's passing of the chain. In Guatemala, there's a common tool that families use called a cuchubal. And a cuchubal is a group of women get together, and every month they pool all their money together. They pick one woman's name out of the hat. She gets the money, gets the spending. They do this 12 months a year, and everybody continues to be a winner eventually. And so what we do is we show them how to build buy and build what they need for an efficient ventilated stove and a water filter.
Wow.
And so, but they can't afford it, and we can't buy it for them.
Right.
So the Kucha Ball is something that hopefully, the plan is that they're getting cash from their eggs. And once a month, they all pool their money, maybe not 100%, but they pool what they can, the same amount. There's one winner, she gets a stove and a water filter. And so that's one way of at least utilizing the cash they get from the eggs for their benefit. They have to agree to it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have to form their own Kucha Ball. Generally, it's a group of women who know each other.
That's amazing.
So that's a cycle. And
where did that? Who came up with that idea?
It's a Guatemalan tradition.
It's a tradition.
Yeah.
Wow.
So essentially, unless I missed something, that's how it works. It's the methodology is campesino. The women learn from their neighbors. And the biggest challenge with this particular subject, more so than with coffee, is getting the women to understand that there's no gifts here. And they understand that the gift is you can take care of your family without having anybody else's help.
Right.
You can do it all on your own.
I mean, in the political climate of America, we're always arguing this point ourselves. I mean, this is a human problem in general. Is how do you help people and how do you enable them? And enabling is so much more powerful in the big scheme of things. But it's so much. It seems sometimes, just like you said, it's so much easier. You think you see results right away, but that strength, that core, like you said, these people they're so capable. They're survivors beyond all imagination. And the Coffee Trust is just engaged in tapping into that resource. It seems, more than anything.
That's the whole point. Now, in terms of using the word enabling, there's some negative connotation in that word, right. But it's more empowering.
Empowering, okay.
Because when the women learn from their neighbor,
right,
that they can do this.
They just believe.
Just did it next door for crying out loud. I can do this, but it does require a lot of work.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of time, and they have a lot of demands on their time.
Okay.
They have to get wood. They have to take care of their children. They got to make tortillas. So a lot of them are not so anxious to engage in all the work it takes, but only once they see that those who have done that amount of work, look what they've got.
Exactly.
So it's a very slow process. And in the principles of Campesino, one of the fundamental requirements is patience. Because nothing happens quickly.
You said patience, right? Patience. Wow.
Yeah. Nothing happens quickly. It happens incrementally. So you have to have the patience to
and so when you started 30 years ago in this work, and you had your level of patience, and you have that today, how different in your life have you seen?
I would say today I have more patience than the zero patience I had when I started.
Zero.
I think we're just going to go here. We're just going to do it. What's the problem?
You grew up in Providence. I grew up outside New York. There was no such thing as patience.
No, we got to get to work. Let's get it done.
That's right. Let's go. That's amazing. That's really amazing.
And so at the same time, I mean, food sovereignty is really, really important. But also,
we have another level here.
Yeah.
And that is
diversified income. Right. That they have to be, if they're going to get cash, they're going to operate with any cash at all. They can't be totally dependent upon coffee for the sole source of income because it's just too volatile a product. Or, I mean, the price could be volatile, but the production could be wiped out. 80% 1 year is gone.
Exactly.
They haven't quite recuperated all of that either. So providing an opportunity for the women, families, to generate an income in addition to coffee is critical. So we've done that with most successfully with the Women's Savings and Microcredit Program. And that program started in 2007 because the women sorters, the association, had bought a sorting equipment, and 300 women around the world.
Wow.
And so the association says, well, if the women would like to start an association, we'll give them the space, and they can start it here. So 20 women started an association.
Really?
Chahulense de Mujeres.
No kidding.
Chahulense Women's Association. And it started out under the umbrella of the Coffee Association. they started with 20 women issuing small loans that the women would then, they could do anything they want. Basically, open a small store, it's probably out of the reach of the first loans. A small business, some use it for agricultural loans, but little by little, they began to grow. And one of the things that the Coffee Trust tried to implement early on was a savings component. But these are women who live from day to day, they don't even understand
The concept of saving.
It's like, how can you talk about saving? But after several years of talking about savings and asking the women to consider savings, the women agreed, well, let's consider savings. So they considered part of their loan, 10% of their loan would go into a savings account, which they could borrow off of later and pay interest on, but the interest that they paid on their own savings would go into their own savings.
Wow.
So they agreed to this, and when that happened, boom, all of a sudden, their savings began to grow, and they didn't have to borrow as much because they were borrowing from themselves.
Right.
And suddenly they began to expand and expand, have more money for expansion, and 20 women turned into 2,500 women. And they have 50
and this is in the time that the Coffee Trust is in existence.
Exactly.
So in 10 years or less.
In 10 years, yeah, about 10 years.
10 years,
It took about 10 years, right. And now they still have challenges. The challenge is they grew too fast, okay? And by growing so fast, if you try to build a house too fast, you got things that aren't working, you got to keep making repairs.
Yeah.
So they've got some fences to mend. They got some work to do. They also have to learn about financial management at a higher level. Soon, in not too many years, there could be 10,000 women, and it's a lot different to run an organization with 20.
And who manages their money and has all the complexities. I mean, we even as Americans, we have a hard time figuring out how to manage our money.
And because corruption is a natural part of the human experience.
Right.
The bigger, more successful it gets,
yes.
that there are going to be elements of
There's always
corruption.
someone that can see that opportunity and take advantage.
Yeah, exactly. So those controls have to be implemented. Then they have to be able to deal with the corruption when they face it.
My head is spinning, Bill. That's all I can say. I mean, I know I've had a lot of cups of coffee today, but these conversations, these subjects, they go very deep. I want to be able to talk more in depth in the future, and we've actually talked a little bit about this idea of you and I doing a monthly kind of live Facebook broadcast, because I think that before I get a chance to go down to Guatemala with you here in early February, we'd love to be able to maybe talk a little bit about what that trip's going to be like and what those experiences are going to be. Love to then have another one when we get back.
Oh, great.
Because I gotta, I imagine that my mind is gonna get blown. If you can bring over the larger screen there for me on that slideshow on the right screen there, Jake. We've got Jake here from Revere Social. He is here helping us out all day. He's got this awesome social media and marketing company, and he's helping us operate all of this equipment. And Jake, come on camera here for a minute and just say hi to the crowd. I don't know. I originally thought that I was going to somehow pull this off. Jake, say hi to everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
How's it going for you?
It's going good. It's been interesting, paying attention to all of this and trying to figure out how to make all of this work together, especially since it being the first time doing something like this. As you said, Thomas, there's a lot of complications, but I think we've definitely done a really good job of putting out the fires when they present themselves.
Well, we just want to thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, of course. Really enjoying it.
Couldn't have done it. So.
No, absolutely not.
So.
I'm learning a lot from listening to the conversations between these guys.
If you haven't eaten, we've got all sorts of food over there. Just tell Lee whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Please,
yeah.
we got quiches, we got breakfast turnovers. We are open till 5 o'clock here at Trifecta Coffee Company. Every dollar that you spend here, we're donating to the Coffee Trust. All of these programs, food sovereignty, La Roya, EMs, micro lending, income diversity. We had a couple more subjects that we're going to be talking about. We're also going to be heading over to a food segment at 2 o'clock but we have a really fun segment at 2:15 where we're going to get a chance to talk to Pepe Rodriguez. He is the International Program Director for the Coffee Trust.
Not quite. He's the International Program Manager.
Program Manager. And I mean, he's involved in so many aspects, not just La Roya. What are some of the different...
Well, he was one of the founders with the women of the Women's Microcredit Program. And Pepe had run an organization called the Penny Foundation.
Right.
And he was involved, he understood microcredit, so he helped them get started.
He works with training on all these different levels.
Yeah, he understands training. He was trained by the original founders of the methodology Campesino and Campesino.
Okay.
And he knows about agriculture and biology. He's a wide.
So he's a jack of all trades, and he's going to be dialing in at 2:15, and then at 2:35 we have Dori Hagler, some of the most beautiful black and white photography. She lives in New York City. She's going to be calling in. We're going to get a chance to talk to her, and she has been involved. She's been in the Peace Corps. She's been down in Guatemala. She's had some stories. I got a chance to talk to her last week about how giving these people are, and the generosity, and her photographs, I think, really show just a level of aspect of what this area is like. And
yeah, I've been working with Dori Hagler for 20 years.
Wow.
And she's come on all my organizations. She has come. She's
been
down
with
to
you.
photographs. Yeah,
She follows you no matter where you go.
Yeah, you bet, you bet.
That's
she's
amazing.
Great, absolutely great, and her photographs speak for themselves.
So anyways, we're going to have a couple more segments today. Anyways, come on down to the to Trifecta Coffee Company. The Coffee Exchange in Providence is still open for another 4 more hours? No, I apologize. Two more hours down at the Coffee Exchange. They've been doing this fundraiser for coffee farmers for the last 28 years, and this is our first year doing First Cup. We have text to giving, just dial 50155, text in coffee. We have Facebook pages at the Coffee Exchange, Trifecta Coffee, as well as the Coffee Trust with donate buttons. But if you can come on down, we'd love to see you. We've had people coming in all day. 30 days ago, we just kind of put the word out. This is completely organic growth. We've had people coming in. Word is getting out. Please share with people. Even if you can't make it out, share these videos. Text your friends and say, hey, get down there to Trifecta Coffee. We've got some Chaulense coffee that we've just had come out of the roaster. We're selling that wonderful coffee today. Every dollar that we raise today for our raffle, for all of our sales, our employees, Rachel, who's our assistant manager, and Alma and John, our baristas, Lee, my partner, all came out and volunteered their time. Sierra, she just started with us 2 months ago, and I think in the second week we asked her, hey, can you come on out and donate your time on New Year's Day? And without hesitation, she said, sure, just tell me when to be here. So, Bill, we have a lot of people in support of the Coffee Trust, and the real goal here is for 2018 is we got to get the word out. So we're relying on our audience, we're relying on social media, just to get everybody. Ty, thank you. We're on a roll here. You can't stop Bill and I from talking. We would change the... Ty, come around. Come back here. We have a customer that followed us from the East Mountains. I originally started in the East Mountains, and this guy has been harassing the hell out of us. Now, he followed us. I came down to Albuquerque to get away from this guy, and he comes in and he buys 50/50 decaf in Mexico, 5 pounds at a time. He loves our coffee. He's been a great supporter.
And who roasts my coffee?
I do.
And who buys the beans before they're roasted?
I do.
And who helped put this thing together to support our coffee growers?
A lot of people, but Bill, myself, all of our staff, Jake. We've got supporters, the guys from Zia. It's been a lot of people. So
Yeah, you can blame all those other people, but I like to blame you. Thank you so much
Well, thank you.
taking care of folks who are far away and help bring us good coffee.
well, thank you for getting the word out and supporting us. Ty said the minute we put this, I mean, there was no hesitation. I said, we're doing this. He said, I'll be there. And when Ty says I'll be there, he's going to be there.
And now I spent some money and I'm leaving, and I thank you for what you're doing.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year too.
So anyways, we're going to be going live at, let's see, what's our next schedule? We're going to be doing, I don't know, 1:30, definitely 2 o'clock, folks. There may be some small scans of the room, but definitely 2 o'clock we're going to be hitting our segment. It's just a fun recipe segment. We got a couple cool espresso drinks paired with a sweet and savory items from Sierra, our baker, and then we're going to be heading into Voices from the Field at 3 o'clock Mountain Time. We ask everybody, please tune in over to the Coffee Exchange Facebook page. Charlie is going to be wrapping up the day. He's got a few words to say. Charlie's been doing this for 29 years now, and that's where this all began. So please go ahead and stop over to those guys as well. So I think this is a wrap for this segment, Jake.
Just a minute. Before you hang out, I just want to let everybody know that if you can't come down to Trifecta Coffee Company, or if you can't make it to Providence, you can just text to give 50155 on your cell, text the word coffee, and you can make a contribution. So we're all here to share our first cup of coffee on behalf of small-scale coffee farmers in Guatemala, and you can help too, even if you can't come down. So please, be generous today. Start off your year to help small-scale coffee farmers, and do it with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.